Welcome. All right, so welcome to week 2 of our Finding Leverage in Technology series. We started last week. If you missed it last Thursday with Mike Rapaski, you probably missed a lot of bad jokes. You can email me and I will send you the recording if you want it. Hold on, I gotta get a few more people here in. Okay, great. So we have Liz Kazminski joining us today. She works with Pete Formica and the Safe Harbor team. So she's going to be walking you through the importance of keeping up with a pipeline and what that looks like throughout the process. And then she's going to show you a few things in Command around opportunities. Liz, I'm going to pretty much let you take this away. If you want to learn from anybody on the opportunity side of things, Liz is your girl. You have full screen sharing capabilities, Liz, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Danielle. So as Danielle said, yeah, I'm the director of operations for the Safe Harbor team. Command is our main CRM. We've been using it for probably the last couple of years at least. And so we do everything in Command. So obviously last week, Mike talked about contacts. I feel like everyone kind of has a good handle on contacts. That's your database. That's where your money comes from. However, I'm wondering, first of all, is anybody in here using opportunities? Does anybody use them? And then for those of you who aren't using them, do you understand basically what an opportunity is? Does anyone know kind of what the definition of the opportunities are? So, okay. So basically, an opportunity is just what it sounds like. It is an opportunity for you to transact. Basically, it's whenever, if somebody said, I want to buy, sell, invest, rent, lease, anything along those lines, that is now an opportunity. And that's when you would want to add an opportunity in Command. Contacts is basically a record of everyone you know, everyone you have information on. Opportunities is everyone who you might be doing business with in a certain time frame. So obviously, you could say, oh, I have, just say there's 1,000 people in your database. Over the next decade, all 1,000 of those people may buy or sell a property. You're not going to want to create an opportunity for every single one of them. That's going to get really overwhelming. However, you may say anyone who says that they're going to, buy or sell within the next year or 2 years, that's when we're actually going to start creating the opportunities. So like if you're running Facebook ads, I actually wouldn't recommend starting an opportunity for every single one of those people who comes in from a Facebook ad. That's just going to overwhelm you. However, as soon as you start making contact with them, they actually pick up the phone, they talk to you. They say, oh yeah, we're thinking we're going to buy a house this summer. It's a good time to create the opportunity. And so hopefully that's kind of all making sense. I would say,
Elizabeth?
Yes.
How many do you, on a big team like Safe Harbor, how many do you have within the opportunities category? Like right now, how many do you have in there?
Not as many as we should, to be frank. However, so everyone who is currently under contract with us is definitely in an opportunity. Everyone who is whose listing we're working on getting on the market is in an opportunity. What I'm working with my team to make sure that we're up to date on is all of our nurtures. So everyone that we are currently nurturing should also be in an opportunity. And that's where we have room for improvement. So I guess that's a good point. Like I'm not coming here from the, we're doing this perfectly. We're still in the trenches here, kind of trying to get it all set up and working just the way we want it. However, I do have some experience in getting that set up in, starting to work in there. Does that Does that kind of answer your question?
So this is Cindy Sobel, first of all. I wanted to know, let you know
Mhm.
who's talking. So it kind of takes the place of the rack that I have sitting on my desk right now of folders that have tabbed folders with either a buyer or a seller that I have been accumulating whatever conversations I have with them, whatever pieces of information they have given me, and I've just thrown it into this folder. And it's just kind of sitting here, and it makes me look at it all the time. So then I make phone calls constantly to these people to keep them in the loop of moving forward on whatever they're doing. So it takes place of those folders. Is that the whole idea?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because I'm guessing you don't have folders in there for just a random person you met who has not expressed any interest in buying or selling at this point.
No, no.
Your stack of folders is, yeah.
And then once these tabbed folders on my desk turn into actual listing or a buyer that I've gone under contract, then it moves into its rightful place in a real binder, into a binder where that whole transaction takes place. So what I'm hearing you say is the opportunities are more that kind of file stage.
Yes, and the opportunity too, it's not just someone who's in the nurture phase. Opportunities will go all the way from being a nurture, so in other words, having your very first conversation with them where they say, "Yes, I have an interest in doing something within real estate," all the way through to closed. So, I guess
So where do they sit in the opportunities phase before, I guess I need to just get in there and poke around and command. I mean, like, so when you're in an opportunities phase, I usually don't make it formal until it's actually a transaction is usually what I don't. So it's really in the cultivate, no.
Yes. So this is my own personal opportunities. We have actually, because I'm in my account, you won't be able to see all of the team opportunities. However, there are a couple in here. So one thing that you can do with the opportunities is you can actually put them in here when you're nurturing them, and then it's just a really good way to see who's in your pipeline. So there used to be a pipeline tool that was provided to us by KW with the CGI initiative a few years ago, and it was basically just a spreadsheet where you could put in everybody that you were working with or who you were talking to track it. Basically, Opportunities has taken that and kind of supercharged it, which allows you to track all of this. So um, there's actually a lot of functionality that happens here within the opportunities. I'm guessing that probably everyone who's on this call, even if if you're not using them a lot, you've probably at least used them a little bit because I mean, opportunity is how we get paid now, right? So you, I'm sure we've all had at least a little bit of experience if we've closed a deal or two. However, opportunity is so much more than that. It allows you to see not only how much who's in your pipeline. It actually allows you to see all of your potential income and all of your probable income. So, like the potential income is if you close everything in your pipeline, how much you're going to make. Probable income is so over time, opportunities will actually calculate of everyone you put in as in the cultivate phase, how many of those actually go to the appointment phase, and from appointment phase, what percentage of those go to active, and from active, what percent go to under contract and then to close. And it can take those percentages and actually then calculate your probable income. So based on, say the 20 people you have in the cultivate phase, and what your ratio is of getting them to close, it can actually calculate what your probable income is. And then, so I think, you've got your listings, you've got your buyers, and then you've got your leases down here as well. Does all that, hopefully that all kind of makes sense. So the other thing too is, another thing, especially with Cultivate here. So it's basically, it's a reminder of who you need to call. So if you have an opportunity in here and you've got everybody who's in your watch, nurture, or hot list, and you can come in here and you can see, who do I need to follow up with today? It's just a really good way to track who's who you're working with. And like Cindy, you were talking about, you have a stack of files on your desk. You may not create a file for everyone you're cultivating. You may not create a file for them until they actually hit the appointment phase. So this gives you a way to track a lot more people here. And I've heard some advice I've heard is you shouldn't actually have more than 100 opportunities in your cultivate phase between all three of these, the listings, buyers, and leases. So it allows you to track all of this potential business that you've been setting up.
Hey,
And
Elizabeth,
so the best, yes.
can I ask the question then? I guess I'm a little confused
Yeah.
about cultivate and appointment, because for most of these people, I have had an appointment with them and now I'm cultivating them. I've done my buyer's rep agreement. I've got some buyers kind of hanging around, and maybe even the sellers, I've been to their house, but so the appointment kind of comes before the cultivate. Or tell me what the appointment means. What's that to stand for? I'm probably not thinking of it correctly.
So you've actually already signed like the listing or the buyer agreement with them?
Some buyer, if I have buyers that I'm actually spending any energy looking for houses for, absolutely, they're under a buyer's rep agreement with me. I've lost way many not to have that signed. So
perfect. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that actually, yep. So in that case, they actually wouldn't be in the cultivate phase. They would be in the active phase because they're actively looking, or you're actively getting them listed. The cultivate phase is more for the leads you get who haven't yet agreed to meet with you for an appointment.
Gotcha.
So, so one of the great things too about opportunities is it's almost completely customizable. So, so you can see in here, like there's three categories in the cultivate phase: watch, nurture, and hot. So on our team, we say that the watch category is anyone who is more than a year out from doing a transaction. So someone who maybe their youngest child is a junior this year, and so you think, okay, they're going to be a senior in the fall, so the next spring they're going to graduate, and then they're going to look to downsize because they're going to be an empty nester. So that would be someone who's watch, in the watch category. Nurture for us, again, this is just our team. Nurture is generally if they're 3 to 12 months out, and then a hot lead in this cultivate phase is anyone who's 1 to 3 months out. So someone, so again, this would be like maybe you called a FSBO or an expired, or actually just anybody, they haven't quite agreed to meet with you for an appointment yet. However, they're saying, well, I want to get my house listed, in the summer. So that would be about 3 months out. We'd put them in the hot phase. Again, and then we've got the appointment phases with scheduling. If you're in the process of actually getting them scheduled, if you have scheduled them, and then if you've kept them. And I would say the kept here is maybe you went on an appointment, maybe they're interviewing other agents, or they just need a little more time to think about it, and they haven't actually signed with you yet. However, the goal would be to move them pretty much directly from the scheduled all the way into active. So you can see active here, they have staging, showing, and negotiations for the opportunities. Now here's where it gets to be completely customizable. So these are the defaults that come with command, like the staging, showing, negotiations. However, I can actually show you on our team, we have ours on hold. So this would be, they've agreed to work with us. We've probably signed the listing agreement. However, they need a few months. They're not quite ready to go. Maybe we signed it for 3 months in the future. So we put them in here. House preparation would be anybody who's just doing the final touches on getting their house on the market. The painting, the new carpets, whatever that may be. We've got listing preparation. So that's if we are now just in the process of getting photos, making sure we have all of the documents, that kind of thing. And then on our team, we have active, which would actually be active on the MLS. And it's actually really easy to edit these stages. You just hit the edit stages button. You can add stages, you can edit them, you can delete them as well. So it allows you to customize this for how you run your business. So maybe for Cultivate, you don't want Watch, Nurture, and Hot. You could actually rename them to, you could name it 1 to 2 years out, whatever you want. Similarly, for the buyers, they have searching, showing, and negotiations. Whereas on our team, we always talk about, we have buyers which buyers are 8, 9s, and 10s. 10s being someone who's going to buy this month, 9s next month, 8, the month after that. So we have renamed all of our stages to reflect that. So we've got, our 10 buyers are the people we're going to put under contract this month. So, opportunities really is versatile in this way. It will allow you to run your business the way you want to. Does all that make sense? Does anyone have any questions on that? So, and the great thing for us too is if we have, say, our buyers categorized as, with these numbers, we know, who we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on our 8, 9s, and 10s, the buyers that are going to buy much sooner. And it allows us to see that kind of as a quick view. Something else that you can do in Command is you can actually do all of your contract to close here. So for a lot of people who, handle all their tasks using spreadsheets and just checking stuff off, that can be taken care of through Opportunity as well. So again, in the edit stages, there's these checklists. And so you can actually see, like, we have put in all of the things. This is everything that happens for us when we go under contract. And it allows us to then check everything off so we can track where we are in a transaction. And another thing that's really great is there's these client updates that Opportunities has, which will send your clients an email. So there are certain items on here that I don't see that we see that we've checked any. However, we can check these off that we have, say, sent the contract to title, send it to the lender, and so then you can actually do client updates. What it will do, you can set it up so that once a day, it will send your client an email showing them that you've completed these tasks. So now, not only are you getting stuff done, your client is getting updates directly from Command, letting them know that you are handling their transaction and that you're still taking care of it, that they haven't been forgotten. And it again just lets them know that it lets them know that you're actually working for them, rather than put them under contract and disappeared for 4 weeks only to show up at the closing table for your check. So basically it kind of allows you to do a little bit of a humble brag. the other thing too is, I don't know if who, I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm sure there's some people here who are using Docusign, some people here who are still using .loop. So does everyone know that you can connect your Docusign and your .loop accounts to command and upload your documents for compliance directly from those systems?
Can you show us that?
Yes. And I was actually just thinking, so I'm just actually going to start from the very beginning. I'm going to show you guys how to create an opportunity, and then we can kind of walk through it a little bit. So trying to think, I think I've got some testing contacts in here. So we'll do a buyer lead. So we'll start them off in the Cultivate, call them a Cultivate phase in the hot stage. So someone that we're excited to work with. So the opportunity is here. We can actually go back and we can see now where they show up in the pipeline. Another thing too that's great about opportunities is you can view it. There's this board view here, or if you're used to spreadsheets like I am, you can actually switch to a list view that allows you to just kind of view all of them in this list format, which I kind of personally prefer. So if we've got this lead, we can come in here every week, check in, make sure we're calling them to check in with them so that, the opportunity, the point of all this is that the opportunity doesn't fall through the cracks. Because the last thing we want is for you to call someone up and be like, hey, when we talked last fall, you said you were ready to sell in the spring. And they're like, oh yeah, well, I just listed 3 weeks ago with another agent because I hadn't heard from you. The goal is to have their name in front of you, and to have a system set up where you're calling them every week or every month, so that when they are finally ready to buy or sell, they do it with you and not with, the agent whose sign they happen to see when they were driving home from work or something like that. So once we have our lead, there's actually 2 different ways to move them through the pipeline. You can drag and drop them, which is not working, of course. There we go. So you can move them back and forth through stages by dragging and dropping. And again, there we go. So now, nope, where did they go? Oh, somehow they ended up in the under contract. Either way, so you can drag and drop them because of some of the issues you just saw. Like sometimes it's just hard to figure out where they're going. I actually prefer to come into the opportunity, click the little pencil to edit, and then change the opportunity phase here. So you can change it from appointment, say we finally scheduled the appointment with them. We're now in the appointment state phase, scheduled stage. I don't have any checklist items at this point. I'm not sure if I don't. Now let's say went on the appointment, we signed them, they're now an active buyer, and we're already showing them homes. So then we're moving them around in this phase. And then so then we're showing them homes. We find the home that they want to purchase. So now it's time for negotiations. You come in here, so you've got all of your different tabs here. Documents is going to be the one where you can sync to Docusign or .loop. You click start a transaction, and it's going to tell me to sign into my Docusign. hang on here. I don't know. Well, either way, it started. You can see it started the transaction here. So if I clicked go to transaction, it would open up in the Docusign room. You can also sync it to .loop, so it would give you the options as to which one you wanted to add it to. And then I would recommend everyone start your room or your loop directly through command through the opportunity, because then it's linked up. There is no way to link a room or a loop that you create just in Docusign or .loop with an opportunity. It has to, like, after the fact, it has to be synced all at once. And so for uploading the documents for compliance, it's just easier to always create that room or that loop from the opportunity. So if we're writing an offer, we can come in here and we can put in our offer, title it whatever you want, and just throw in a few details. You can actually search for it on the MLS. It would find it here. Let's see here. Oh wow, that's
Hey, Elizabeth, Cindy again,
Yes.
one quick question. What you're
Yep.
saying is that when I'm still using .loop. So if I want to create and have it sync to .loop, because right now it's not, none of my deals are, I just download all of the documents at the end and then upload them into command.
Yep.
So you're saying that it actually can be synced together. So in the entire process, everything I'm doing in .loop will be automatically in command, but I have to start that at the very beginning through command rather than .loop.
That is correct.
Okay.
If you create the loop from command, it will be synced automatically, so that when you go to upload those documents, you'll have the option to actually upload them or import them from .loop. So it takes out the step of having to download and re-upload all the documents.
Thank you.
So I'm just gonna, like, if you've got the property, you can find it on the MLS. I'm just gonna put in, okay, that works. This property in Westlake. The seller is seller. And if you pulled it in from the MLS, it'll pull in the listing agent's name. However, you have to put it in yourself. And then it asks you for some basic information. And you can't actually type in here for the sales price. It won't let you do that. So you have to type in, say, you have to type in cash, the cash amount, the finance amount, and it'll add it up into the sales price. Alternately, if this is one of those areas where it doesn't matter that much. So if you don't want to figure out how much it is in cash, how much it is in finance, you could just put all of it into one or the other boxes, and just to get the sales price. Let's say 1,500 to, or no, yes. So this is the home warranty, the residential service contract. Settlement costs, let's say they're paying $1,500, and then you can put this pros and cons is really handy if you're doing this on your listing, because you can actually send a comparison to your sellers. It will compare all of the offers they've received on their property if you enter them in here. That doesn't happen on the buy side as on the listing side. So we've put in this offer. We can say they accept it. So I could go in here, and then if everything's signed, I can add a file from Docusign. And so there's nothing here because, again, we didn't put any documents in the Docusign room I created. However, if I had been running the file out of there, you would be able to see all of the different documents. And you can actually attach multiple files as well. So you just click this multiple files from Docusign. And then from each of these drop downs, you can just pick each of your documents. And so it's, it can save some time.
Hey,
So
Elizabeth,
we've got the offers. Yes.
a real quick question too, because I noticed when you did that start transaction at the very beginning, DocuSign was the only choice that came up. Why is it in your system?
Correct.
Why is that?
Because I have not synced .loop to my account.
Okay, so is that a step that you have to do ahead of this going to transaction at the beginning? Is there another
Yes.
way? Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'll show everyone really quick how that works. So, just because again, this is valuable stuff, that'll potentially save you time, especially since you have to upload all of your documents in here. So if you go into the settings in your account, this very first page here is your integration. So you can see I have my Docusign account synced up. And actually, I think you have to go to the store to find .loop. And I may have had to go to the store to find Docusign as well. I don't remember. It's been long enough. Where is? It's in here because I know on Pete's account, our Rainmaker, we have both Docusign and .loops synced. And so when he goes and clicks start a transaction, he actually has the option to pick whether he wants to start a transaction in .loop or Docusign. So it should. Oh, there it is. So I can. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly how we got it set up. However, I know we did. And then yeah, it allows you to move things over directly from your .loop, from your loop into your command account. All right, back to command. So yes, you would just then find .loop on the list here, and then you connect your account, and then when you went to add it in the opportunity, it would be there. So here's our test. I would move this now to under contract. And unfortunately, I did this in my personal account and not in our team account, so I can't show you all of the activities we have set up. However, on our team account, this would then populate with all of those tasks that we have for when we go under contract. So you can check them off and make sure that, everything is good, you're doing everything. Continue to move it through all of the different phases. And then the other thing too that you need to make sure to do on the market center side of things for compliance is manage commission. So you'd come in here, saying today is the contract date. And then you can add another agent, so like for us on a team, there's often another agent, we'll add that in. We'll add a note. We can add a note if we need to. And then you can click submit and it'll go to Carrie for compliance. So I'm guessing most of you probably have experience with that at least, since again, it's necessary to get paid. So one other thing, when it comes to all of our transactions, I check in with with the title companies and the lenders every week on our transactions, and I put whatever they tell me wherever we're at. I always put that in the notes section here. So I would, you can title it whatever you want. Something, whatever they say, save it, and then you've got the record of where everything's at. So any other agents that you may be collaborating with can come in and see this right here. So, and then there's also, there's timelines too. So you can see everything that is done back from, what is that, 14 minutes ago when we created this opportunity. It's a quick moving buyer. So does all that, what I feel like, what other questions are there? What other questions do people have? Anyone? Bueller?
Have one. So
Yes.
when you guys are using this as a team, are you guys using the checklists within the opportunities as well, or not so much?
Yes, we are using like these checklists here.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we are doing our contract to close management.
Okay.
And see here, let me see if I can find. So again, these happen to be test loops that we've got. However, so you can see here, and actually I've obviously played around with this one a little bit. I've checked off all of these items. So this is where we just make sure that we're doing everything on contract to close. We have all of our tasks set up here, and then again we have it set up where our clients get an email on certain things when it's completed.
And have you guys created those emails, or are they just canned emails in there?
So they are canned emails that go out. You can customize them to whatever you want. When you're in the opportunity, you can click the client update and you can select what time they go out. You can select who they come from and who they go to. So like, for example, on our team, it's who do you want it to come from? Do you want it to come from the rainmaker? Do you want it to come from the agent? Or do you want it to come from the actual administrator who's doing the work? And so you get to select that. You get to select who it goes to. So we could also have it sent to the agents on our team, so they know, that we're taking care of it. And then at this point, there's only one template for the emails. I assume at some point they'll have another one. However, you can see the preview here. So it'll say, the client's name, the address, and then it'll have all of the items that are completed here, along with your marketing profile down here.
So if you had to guess, only because you're using this and I'm not using this piece of it, how many emails are your clients getting from this during the transaction? Client updates.
So we actually just barely started using the updates. We haven't been doing it a lot. However, they probably aren't going to receive more than, I don't know, maybe half a dozen.
Okay.
In large part just because like a lot of the items on this checklist are all going to be completed on the same day, the very first day they go under contract. So they're only going to receive one email that day. They're not going to receive an email for every item you check off.
Sure. But I think it's important to understand for you guys that are on the call, like this is the way that you stay in touch with them, right? Like this pipeline isn't just for you. This is for you to stay in front of them. Like that's the intention of this. We're not just, I know a few of us are using opportunities because that's the only way that we can get paid, right? But on the other side of it, like if you take all the sticky notes that are sitting around your desk right now from the 3 sellers and the 2 buyers that you have, and you create these checklists in here and you have these client updates, Liz, I mean, you guys are starting to use this. I think you can assume like the system starts working for you here, right? So like this is where
Yes.
everything starts coming into play. Unfortunately, you're going to have to go through the process of creating those systems one time, but then Liz and Pete and the agent, they're all connected. And some of you guys are solo agents, so it's just you. They're all connected so that they know that this is getting signed on this day and their client already knows about it by the end of the day today. This is getting done this day and their client knows about it, and they don't have to send their client a text or an email because that already does it for them. Now, Liz, I guess, what did you do to come up with this checklist? You know, would you encourage our agents to just say like, what do I do in a day, or what do I do at this process, or what do I do at this process, and like write it down and document it?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do it is just sit down and maybe actually wait until you get your next contract and then sit down, and as you're handling that new contract, write down what you're doing, you know. Oh, I'm calling the client to schedule the home inspection. Okay, that's one thing to write down. I had to send the contract over to the lender. That's another thing. I had to make sure that we had all of these documents signed. That's another thing. Write down everything that you do. Um, and then at that point, you can turn it into a checklist. So for us, it was a little bit easier because, you know, being a team, we already had kind of the checklist put together. They were just in a different format, so it was easier to transfer it over. However, for some of you who are solo agents who maybe haven't systematized that quite yet, I would recommend just the next time you do it, just write down what you're doing. Or, you know, the other thing you could do too is make a video of yourself, you know, as you're handling this new contract, and just it'll record everything. And then if you have a VA or someone else, you know, you can have them watch the video and write down all of the notes of what you did. The great part about all of this too is once you have these checklists and you reach the point where you need leverage and you need an assistant, um, you've already got, like, you can hand them the system, like, here's the system that you can use. I've already put it together for you.
Elizabeth,
Liz,
okay.
go ahead, Alex.
Yep.
Sorry.
I was going to ask a question. For the checklist, just because things move so fast and you're checking things off quickly, how are you either like time blocking or organizing time? Do you do it by transaction? Do you do it by the task? Like, how are you checking things off?
So generally what I have found that works for me, and I think this is one of those things where everyone just has to kind of figure what works best for them. So like when we get a new contract in, it's easy for me to sit down, open this all up, and go through, you know, the checklist of everything I can do. However, sometimes there are things that don't get done. For example, like point of sale. Like we don't always have point of sale when it goes under contract, and that is one of the items, you know, I know it's somewhere on this list. Well, I don't see. Anyway, it's on the list, like check on point of sale. So for the follow-up for like the next day or the next day, I have time blocked time in the morning where I come in and I just go through all of the files. Like you know, I can go through this entire, well, it doesn't look like a pipeline here because I actually, full disclosure, I actually usually work in Pete's command and not my own. So there would be, you know, normally there would be a lot more opportunities in here. So I can basically just go through them all and look at them, and you can pull up the checklist without even opening the opportunity. So I can click on it, open it up, see which items were still there, and then I know what I need to work on or what I need to check off. So maybe the appraisal did come in yesterday and I forgot to check it off. Then I'll check it off at that point and
Liz, I do
you know,
have
move
a
it on to the
question.
next one. Okay.
Now, with these checklists, are you able once you created the checklist, are you able to save that checklist in command and use them for each one of your transactions or opportunities? Can you like copy and use it on the next one, or do you have to recreate each one at each time?
Yeah, Liz, can you just actually go in there, because I think Jade was asking too. Can you just show how you do it the first time?
Yes. So, okay. So go into whichever phase you're interested in. For us, it's under contract because that's when most of our checklist items happen. You click the edit stages. So this is again like where you can change whatever you want the stages to be called. And then you've got the checklist here too. So you click on the checklist, and this is where, so like you can easily add an item here. I don't know, call again, something like that. You can save it. You can, you can reorder them, everything like that. Save it. And now every new opportunity that comes into that stage is going to get that checklist. So it doesn't get
Okay.
it doesn't get applied retroactively. However, every new opportunity moved into that stage will get that checklist.
And then the only other thing I was going to add is when you get into that specific checklist for, 123 Main Street, if you know that you have to call on the inspection tomorrow, or you have to call on it in 5 days, or whatever that looks like, in the opportunity, you can actually set tasks for yourself as well.
Yes.
So there's a due date, right? So if you're looking at it today, but you know it won't be ready for tomorrow, you can actually set a due date over to the right, and then tomorrow you'll get a task right to your homepage that says, inspection scheduled or ROC put together or whatever that is.
So again, on the team, and I apologize, I don't know how this works when you're not on a team because I haven't played around with that as much. However, on this team, I can actually assign this to someone else. So I could assign it to someone else on our team, and then I can set a due date. So if this needs to happen tomorrow, I can set it for tomorrow and put in a time for it to be scheduled. So
I mean,
you can edit the checklist items from here as well.
Right.
Do those checklist tasks flow into like the tasks and the menu, like the opportunity tasks, or is that separate, or is that different? Do you know what I mean?
They're slightly different. So when you come into tasks, like you've got all your contact tasks, and then you've got your opportunity tasks here. So, and I do have one that I need to check off.
Are those coming from the checklist, or is that coming from somewhere else?
It's coming from the checklist.
Okay.
So like, for example, this is a listing that we had that closed yesterday. And so I created an opportunity, or, I have a task to just make sure that we receive the commission check on it, and then assigned it to myself for today.
Got it. So you can either look at checklists by deal through opportunities, or just in a list view through tasks. Is that right?
So they only show up on your tasks if you have assigned them.
Okay, got it.
So like all of these other tasks here that were not assigned would not show up on my opportunity tasks.
Okay.
So it's only once they've actually been assigned and given a date that they will show up in your tasks.
Okay.
All right, any questions around that, around the tasks? Jade, did you get your question answered on how to create them? Yes? Okay, brilliant.
I have a question. So my understanding, so the checklist exists already, but we just have to go under edit the stages and make our assignments for the different tasks.
The checklists are empty at this point. You have to create your own.
Okay.
However, yes, that's, you go into the edit stages, and then
stages.
You can, yep, and that's where you find the ability to put in all of the checklist items.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Liz.
I worked with another admin here who actually works with our productivity coach over here, and she gave me her checklist. Now, this is a checklist for a very small team, so I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but I'll upload it into the chat box real quickly, and then you guys can download it if you want to. And it'll give you a starting point, but I do also still think you should do what Liz said and, like, go through the activities that you are starting to do and actually write them down. But I'll attach that in here as well if you guys want to take that.
And just to also, I think, clarify on the last question, for the checklist, when you're building them, you only do it one time, and then it creates a template for it, and then you can always add to it and build on it, but you have to at least do it
Yes.
just the one time,
Yes.
the first time.
So if you have, yeah, if you have, your checklist that you do for every transaction, you would add it in the edit stages. And then when you have an opportunity, if you have a specific item that needs to be taken care of on this opportunity, you can add them to the opportunity checklist specifically from within here as well. So if I added something in here, this is going to show up on here. It's not going to show up on the next opportunity because I created it specific to this one opportunity.
And I'll just say just a kind of aha, I guess. I think the cool thing for me with checklists is right there, you can see with just inspections alone, there's 8 tasks that if you didn't have a checklist, you maybe do 2 or 3, but this kind of holds you accountable and lets you and make sure that you're doing all 8 of those tasks that are associated with that stage.
And I think you get to add like additional things in here. Like for those of you who are doing marketing, which obviously we're going to talk about next week, but it kind of comes into play here. Like once you're in inspections or you're in appraisal or it's moving further in, maybe you put in there, and this might be on the checklist that I put in there. Create social media post, right? Order closing gift, right? Like those little things that you just forget to do afterwards, and you're like, oh crap, the house sold 4 days ago and I didn't post it on social media. Like those small things can also be included in these checklists so that fingers crossed everything goes well with the inspections, it's going to be closing or it's at least under contract, right? You can put in there, create under contract social media post, right? Or whatever that looks like, just the little pieces of it.
Well, and another thing too, just so everyone knows, you get checklists when it's in the closed phase. So like we have, this is our checklist for this is everything we do when after a property closes. So if you have things like social, post on social media that it closed, there is a place to put this in a checklist as well. So the checklists don't end, when it's still under contract. There's still a post-closing checklist that you can do.
And I don't know if you guys just saw that on Liz's, on her closed one, and said like add home anniversary to contact, right? Like how many times you guys go in and close it out and forget to add their home anniversary. So right when it closes, you're adding their home anniversary and then you're setting them up on that smart plan. Again, and like that's how the system just starts working for you. You just have to put in the work at the beginning.
Right. Well, we've got add anniversary to contact. We have add a tag to them so that we know that they're our past client and update their address. Like all 3 of those are things that we need to do when we have a property close. So
to that point, I'll also just say that
I hear them talking, I can't find them.
what I'll say is that for the tasks, when you're building out what those tasks are, check on inspections, check on appraisal, call the roofer, whatever it is. That's also a really good point that you should also be building things that you're doing inside of command with adding tags, adding smart plans for even the cultivate stage, like what smart plans are you putting people on, and when you can just put that task, you can put that task as part of the checklist on what you're actually doing for that contact inside of command in your checklist.
Yep. Another fun little trick is, so when you're in an opportunity, you can actually go directly to the contact. You can click on the name. And then if you go to contacts, it opens up the contact in another tab. So.
All right, any other questions, guys? Questions, comments, thoughts?
Just one other thing I've heard a lot of people have questions about in some of the Facebook groups, is what happens if you have a deal that falls through? Do you have to delete your opportunity? And the answer is no, you don't. So if you come back, oh, this was not the one that we, hang on, let me find the one that I was playing with earlier. So in this test one, if the deal falls through, you don't have to come back and delete the opportunity. All you have to do is change your response to rejected, and then you can put in another offer, put in another commission, everything like that. So lost opportunity, you should only use this if you've actually truly lost the opportunity, as in they decided to work with someone else. So just because something felt like, if your contract fell through, it's not a lost opportunity. You still have an opportunity with this person to buy. So.
All right, lots of praise in the chat box for Liz. Thank you so much for doing this. This was also recorded, so if you guys want a copy of this, just shoot me an email and I'll send it over to you. Do you guys have any other questions before we finish up here? All right, cool. So part 2. So if you missed part 1, let me know. And then part 3 is next week. So we're just going to be doing marketing, not like creating a logo, but more like why it's important to create a brand, easy ways to do it, free ways to do it, meeting your consumer where they are. So we'll talk about the app, we'll talk about the website, and then we'll do some marketing, some quick marketing and designs. I'll show you guys a few things. So we'll do that next week. And then if you guys need anything from now till then, let us know. Liz, thank you again so much for bringing your brain today. We'll talk to you guys all later.